Hi gents, hopefully you found that little trigonometry video that I put up. I know it was a big long question that the 6 years had asked, but it's actually perfect for us as well because we've done trigonometry, but trig functions was not something that we've done. So hopefully you've added that into the list of the things that you can now do towards the end of fifth year. The last video on coordinate geometry, we just started learning about the circle, okay, and how to get the equation of a circle. So just a quick little recap that if the center is 0, 0, okay, now that's a big if the center is 0, 0, and the radius is, we'll just call it r, then the formula is x squared plus y squared is equal to r squared. So we took a few examples. If your center is 0, 0, and if your radius is, I don't know, 7, the equation will be x squared plus y squared is equal to, you can call it 7 squared or 49. No problem there. And we said that if x squared plus y squared is equal to 121, it would mean that the center is 0, 0, and that the radius is equal to 11, or the square root of 121. Here's one I would like to show you. If you've got 4x squared plus 4y squared is equal to, we'll just say, what we pick? We'll pick 81. What can we say about this circle here? Is it a circle? Because it's got 4's in front of it, in front of the x squareds and the y squareds in this case. So is that a circle? Well, it is. Because it's an equation, you can divide both sides by whatever you like, so long as it's the same number and not 0. So we're going to divide the left-hand side by 4, and we would get x squared plus y squared. Okay, that's exactly what we want. The right-hand side would get 81 divided by 4, so it's like, what is that about? But just remember now, we still have that the center is 0, 0, because it's x squared plus y squared. And the right hand side, the radius will equal to the square root of 81 over 4. And you can actually square root the top, which is 9, and square root the bottom, which is 2. So the radius is 4.5, or 9 over 2. That's a nice little, it's a nice little question. It's a little bit different to the ones that I gave you before. If you've got 4x squared plus 3y squared is equal to 81, what then? Well, that isn't a circle. Okay, it's got to be that the x squareds and the y squareds are the same, otherwise you can't end up with x squared plus y squared as is. So that one we don't have to worry about, thankfully. That is for a long way down the line in college. Okay, every single circle that we've seen so far, however, has been centered at 0, 0, which is not the case with every single circle that exists. Okay, it doesn't have to be that the origin is the center of the circle. So what we're going to do now is we're going to look at a more general formula where it's not 0, 0 that we are dealing with. So let's take this thing here. Actually, we'll make it black. Okay, we've got, this is our Cartesian plane, is what I'm struggling to think of. And what we'll do here is we will take any old circle. We will call the center. Now, typically what they do for this formula, they call the center HK. And we'll call the radius r again. So the radius, radius will give a name of r. Okay, now remember, this is HK. That's our center. And the radius is r. Okay, now if we go and if we pick any point whatsoever, so we'll just choose this point here. This point is made up of an x value and a y value. Okay, what could we say the distance between HK, our center, and that point, no matter where that point was, so long as it's on the circle, what would that distance be? It would of course be radius. Well, we have a little formula already, which is how to get the distance between any 2 points. And it says that it is the square root of x2, we'll call it x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. And what we are going to do now is we're going to call xh, we're going to get this distance here between xh, in fact we'll leave this one here, I'm trying to say hk really badly. We will call this guy here x1, y1, and we'll call this one here x2, y2. That's our second point. You can call it backwards, but this is just what tends to be. Well, we're going to get the distance between the 2 points. We've already said that the distance between those 2 points is r. Okay, so we would get that the radius is equal to the square root of x2, well that's just our x value, minus x1, that's h, and that's got to be squared, plus y2, which is y, minus y1, which is k, squared. Something really, really important. If you've got 3 squared plus 4 squared, and the whole thing is square rooted, this isn't, you can't cancel off squares and square roots when you have this addition going on. That does not make any sense. Let's just check what this is. This will be the square root of 9 plus 16. That's root 25. That's 5. It's certainly not the same as doing that and getting 7. That'll be all wrong. It is true to say that 3 squared, when you square root it, square and square root are the opposite to each other. So that thing is 3. So it looks like, oh yeah, you can do that. You can't do it, however, when there's addition happening underneath it. Okay, it won't make any sense here. So any sort of feeling that you have there, oh, I'll just cancel the square roots and the squares, would be wrong here. What you can do is you can square both sides of the equation though. So we square the left hand side, we get r squared, and we square the right. Now if we square the whole right hand side, we're just left with x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. And this is actually the formula for every single circle. If it has a center hk, if the center is hk, and if the radius is r, what we get is, the equation is, we tend to write it the other way around. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared is equal to r squared. That's the big one. Okay, happy to tell you, it is in Taylor's book, but sad to tell you, you should just memorize it, because you don't want to look up the Taylor's book every time you need to use this. And when it comes to circles, this is addition. You know, if you need to look up a book every time you had to add 1 and 2, you know, that would be inefficient. So you should go ahead and just learn this thing off. We'll do now what we did the last time. I will give you some examples. If we have the center is 2, 3, and if the radius is 5, what's the equation of the circle? So we'll set up a little thing here. We'll say center, we'll say radius, and we'll get equation. Equation of circle. Okay. Now remember, if it's h and k, the equation becomes x minus h. So whatever h was, it's meant to be minus that. So this is going to be x minus 2. Remember, this is our h and our k. X minus 2 squared plus y minus 3 squared is equal to, and you can call it 5 squared or 25. It's that simple. Okay. If you were to take 3, 1 as your point and your radius as 4, I want you now just like anticipating or pausing the video and just saying out loud to yourself, what would you get here? You would get x minus 3 squared plus y minus 1 squared is equal to 16, or 4 squared would have been acceptable. No need to multiply out the brackets. Don't multiply them out. Don't bother. No need. Don't do it. Let's take another one. We'll say 0 minus 4. And we'll say that the radius is root 10. Suddenly a bit trickier. Okay, what's it going to be? It is going to be x minus 0 squared. Now, if you do x, if you have x and you take nothing away from it, you just have x. And when you square that, you just have x squared. So it's perfectly fine, and in fact preferable, just to call it x squared. added to that is going to be y. Now, what are we meant to do? Remember, it's h and it's k. It's meant to be y minus k. Now, k is minus 4, so minus k is plus 4. Hopefully you saw that coming. And it's equal to the radius squared. That is just 10. It's root 10 when squared, just 10. So I would give the answer here. I wouldn't call it x minus 0 squared. I wouldn't call it that. I would just call it x squared added to y plus 4 squared is equal to 10. That's what you would have there. Okay, so you can see that one was a bit tougher. You do this one, minus 1 minus 5. And we'll say that the radius is equal to 17. Okay, here comes the answer. It's going to be x plus 1 squared added to y plus 5 squared, and it's equal to, Lord knows what 17 squared is. So I'll just call it 17 squared, just to be that. I have a feeling it's 289 or something. Let me grab out an L calculator. Maybe I do know it, 17, but maybe I don't. Yeah, 289. So you call it 17 squared or 289. I haven't left it as 17 squared before, so I'll do that now. Okay, got the idea? It's actually not bad. Here we go. We'll take another one. This time I'll give you the equation. X minus 3 squared added to x plus 2 squared is equal to 169. So what in this case? Remember, if the center is hk, this thing is minus h, because it's x minus h. So if you wanted to, you could say minus h equals minus 3, so h is 3. And you could say here that minus k, because it's x minus k, or sorry, it should be y minus k. Y minus k, so minus k is equal to 2, so k is equal to minus 2. So we get that. So you can do that every single time, or of course you can see the shortcut through all of this is you just change the sign. Okay, if it's minus 3, it's plus 3. If it's plus 2, it's minus 2. Yeah, simple as that. And the radius is equal to the square root of 169, which I'm sure we've all memorized, is 13. So there you go. Let's give this another shot. We will say x plus 5 squared added to y minus 7 squared. Oop, that should be outside the bracket. 7 squared is equal to, we'll just say 5. Okay, write down what it is. That's the center. Here we go. Minus 5 plus 7. The radius is root 5. Okay. Get really used to that. Be able to do that in your sleep is what I would suggest you. I will leave you with 4 to do, just as a little bit of homework. Just so you're completely confident with it. Okay, what will we say? We will say 10 minus 5 as our center and a radius of 1. Please write down what is the equation of that line there. We will say 6, 0. And we'll say that the radius is the square root of 2. What's that equation? We'll now make an equation. We'll say x plus 1 squared added to y minus 3 squared is equal to 6. And we'll say x minus 2 squared plus simply y squared is equal to 49. So give those ones a shot. It's a nice thing just to be able to look directly at the equation of a circle and instantly write down what is the center, what is the radius. You pick up quite a few marks because this this topic does get tough. There have been some notoriously difficult questions on the Leaving Cert regarding circles, you know, and they often give, therefore, lots of attempt marks. So just being able to write down the center and the radius is really handy, or indeed if they give you the center and the radius, being able to write down the equation, it's really good, and it picks you up a whole load of marks. Okay, gents, we will stop it there. I'll actually make just a little second video with the answers and post it along with it so that you can just check straight away. Okay, thanks a million. All the best.